Thank you, Diane. Thank you all for having me. It's great to be here. Diane and I have been talking about this event for a few months. I think I heard, you just told me that you reached out to me the day we announced the campaign to invite me. The hour. Within the hour of the announcement of the campaign, we reached out. And it's really great to be here. I really enjoy these events. You all are the ones who do the hard work. You're the ones who are carrying the flag every year, year in, year out. Every primary election, every general election, trying to advance the cause. So it's really great for me to meet with you and to share with you a little bit about myself. So my name is Neel Kashkari. I'm running for governor of California. Let me tell you a little bit about my background. Now don't hold this against me. I was born in Ohio, okay? My parents, anybody else, any other Ohioans here? Okay, there are a lot of people in California from Ohio that I found. My parents came to America about 50 years ago from India. My family wasn't wealthy. We were middle class. My first job was mowing lawns. My second job was bagging groceries. And then my third job was, I was an assistant to an auto mechanic at the Chevy dealership. But my parents did one great thing for me. They did a lot for me, but they did one really great thing, is they saw to it that I got a good education. And because I got a good education, all of the doors of opportunity of our great country have been open to me. So I became an engineer. And I moved to Los Angeles after college, and I worked at TRW in Redondo Beach. You all know TRW, now it's Northrop Grumman, right along the 405. And I loved it. I loved California. I came here for aerospace, and I fell in love with California. And as much as I loved engineering, I decided to go back to school. So I took out huge student loans to go back to business school to learn about business. And then I came back to California, to the Bay Area, San Francisco, and I helped startup companies raise money, so they could expand and they could hire and they could grow. And I was combining my engineering and my business. And it was wonderful. I was learning a lot. I had a good job. I was enjoying California. And then I did something crazy. In 2006, President Bush picked the CEO of my firm, a man named Henry Paulson, to be Treasury Secretary. And I picked up the phone and I called him up and I said, I want to come with you to Treasury. I don't care going to lick envelopes. I just want to serve my country. I want to learn how government works. I want to give something back. Now, people thought I was crazy. Why would I give up a great career in the private sector to go work in Washington? And I said, no, you're crazy. This is a once-in-a-lifetime chance to get to serve and to learn and to contribute something. And so I went with him. And I worked in Washington for 3 years with President Bush, and it was an extraordinary experience. And then you remember what happened. In 2007, we had that terrible financial crisis. And I was there at the Treasury Department, one of the key responders, trying to stabilize the U.S. economy, working for President Bush. And it was so bad, believe it or not, President Obama even asked me to stay to continue the fight. He didn't talk to me. President Obama did not want me to stay, but he needed me to stay. And I stayed and I worked for the new president for about 4 months until we stabilized that terrible economic crisis and I could step down and return to California. And then I returned to the private sector. So my time in Washington was brutal. But you know what? We did something extraordinary. We got Republicans and Democrats to work together. They almost never do it. But we got them to work together and put their country before their political careers. And I'm really proud of that. So I returned to the private sector, and then something crazy happened again. 3 years later, November 2012, you remember that, Mitt Romney lost the election for president. I strongly supported Mitt for president. I think he would have made an excellent president. I still think he'd make an excellent president today. And you know what? Who knows? Maybe 2016, anything's possible. I think he'd be a terrific president. Well, November 2012, Mitt Romney lost the election, and the Democrats took a supermajority in the state Senate and in the state Assembly. And our party has been cast as the party of no. The party that doesn't care about regular people. The party that doesn't care about women. The party that doesn't like minorities. The party that's only for big business, right? That's what they said. And I heard that, and I said, wait a second, that's not right. That's not why I'm a Republican. I've been a Republican my whole life. Because I believe economic growth is the most powerful force we have to lift people up. If we give people a chance to work hard, they're going to take that chance. And they're going to build a better life for themselves. And that's why I'm a Republican. That's what I believe the party stands for. And so I said, someone has to fight to turn this around. So I started looking. I started looking around the state saying, who's going to lead the fight to go take the fight to Jerry Brown? And I didn't see anyone. And so that was November 2012. December 2012, I got on a plane and I flew to Dallas, Texas to go visit my old boss, George W. Bush. I wanted President Bush to tell me, Neel, you're crazy. Don't even think about running for governor. What do you stay in the private sector and enjoy your good life? But he said, you're not crazy. He said that when he decided to run, remember this, he ran for governor of Texas against a really popular, really smart, funny lady named Ann Richards. Remember Ann Richards? She was the incumbent governor of Texas. She came up with all those clever one-liners. It used to burn me out because her one-liners were funny. And they were all making fun of our guys, okay? But she was a smart, witty lady and people liked her. And everyone said she's unbeatable. But you know what George W. Bush said? He said, people of Texas are suffering. I'm going to focus on helping them get a better life. I think she can be beat. And you know what he did? He beat her. And then he told me about his dad, George Herbert Walker Bush, the first president that I was old enough to vote for. I still adore the guy. Remember, after the Gulf War, he had almost a 90% approval rating. And there was this little-known governor from this little-known state of Arkansas named Bill Clinton. Remember what Bill Clinton said? He said, it's the economy, stupid. That wasn't a very respectful thing to say. But Bill Clinton focused like a laser beam on the struggles of middle-class families in America in 1992. And you know the history, he went and he beat them. Well, that was 1992. Think about where the middle class in California is today. The middle class has been destroyed over the past 30 years. You know, in 1980, California had the 11th most educated population in America. 11 out of 50 states, that's pretty good. Today we're 48. You couldn't engineer that decline if you tried. In 1980, we were right in the middle, around 25th for jobs. Today, we're 47th for jobs. And in 1980, we were right in the middle, around 25th for poverty. Today, we're #1 in America for poverty. Wow. So the legacy of the past 30 or 40 years has literally been the destruction of the middle class of California. So, November, I thought about this, 2012. December, I talked to President Bush. January, I quit my job. And I said, if I'm going to do this, I need to go spend a whole year exploring, meeting families, studying the policy issues, figuring out how we turn California around. And I did. I traveled up and down the state. I met with families of all walks of life, all around the state. Every ethnic background. Caucasian families, Latino families, African American families, Asian families. You know what I found? Everybody wants the same thing. They want their kids to get a good education, and they want a good job, and a fair chance to work hard. This is what I believe our party should stand for. You know, our voter registration is down. We're down to 28% Republicans. A lot of the independents or declining states are former Republicans that are upset about where they see the party has gone. I want to bring them back. I want them to raise their hand and say, I am proud to be a Republican, because the Republican Party stands for hard work. And my message to the people of California is, if you want to work hard, we're the party for you. So I spent a year preparing, and then finally I made the decision, and in January of this year, 3 months ago, I announced my campaign for governor. And my platform is simple: jobs and education. That's it. Because if we do these two things, if we unleash the private sector and grow the economy, and I'll talk about how we do that, so we create a lot of good jobs. The private sector creates a lot of good jobs. We put people back to work. And then they can take care of themselves. And they can pay taxes into the state. And we'll all be better off. And if we fix the schools so that kids are getting a good education, that they have the skills they need to get that job. You know, we do these two things, most of the other problems in our state take care of themselves. We'll end up having less crime. We'll have less drug abuse. We'll have stronger families. Think about our budget. Every single person that we move from welfare to work, we get a 2-for-1 benefit in our budget, because instead of needing help from the government, they're paying taxes into the government. I want California to be the state with the most taxpayers in America, because people have good jobs and can work hard, take care of themselves, and pay into the system, and then we're all better off for it. So that's my platform. Jobs and education, that's it. On the jobs front, we can tap into oil and gas and create hundreds of thousands of good jobs. The first thing I'm going to do as governor, by the way, is cancel the crazy train, the high-speed rail. I've said we're going to cancel the train, we're going to save most of the money, but some of the money, we're going to actually invest in water and build more water storage so we capture the water. drought that we're facing, right, this is a lack of preparation. Droughts happen, folks. Right? This is not our first drought, and I guarantee you this is not our last drought. We need to get going right now to build more water storage so we're prepared for the next drought. We're going to rein in regulation so that small businesses and farmers can thrive. And we're going to bring manufacturing back to California so that we're actually producing goods here, not just designing them here, producing them here. On education, I rolled out my education plan a few days ago. We're going to actually get the money that we're spending. We spend more than $40 billion on K through 12. We're actually going to get it in the hands of teachers and parents at our schools and let them decide how it's spent. So you know what they can do with it? If they want, they can bring vocational training back. I think that's a good idea. Because college helped me tremendously, but look, not every kid is destined for college. And those that don't go to college, they matter too. And they need skills to compete. So to me, it's giving parents and teachers the power, the control. That's how we're going to turn around our school. We're not going to fix this by making small changes. We have to make bold reforms on our economy, on our government, in our schools. And then we need to unite each other around the principle of hard work. I know I'm out of time, so I'm going to just say, I'm not quite yet. I'm not done yet. Okay. We just won. Our party just won a resounding victory in San Diego with the new mayor, Kevin Faulkner. Right? Great new mayor. Do you know how he did it and how we did it? He ran a campaign where he reached out to every group imaginable. And he said, you are welcome in the Republican Party. We want you with us. If you want to work hard, we want you with us. It worked. In San Diego, Democrats have around a 15% registration advantage over Republicans. He didn't just win. He crushed his labor-funded Democratic opponent around this positive, inclusive message. If it can work in San Diego, it can work statewide. And that's exactly what I want to do. I want to bring everybody back. I want the Republican Party, I want our party to be the biggest tent you've ever seen in your life. And the unifying principles are hard work and personal responsibility. Make sure the state has a role to play. Let's make sure kids get that good education. Let's make sure small businesses can thrive and can grow and compete. And then let's get out of the way. And let's let the private sector lead. That's my vision. With your help, we can do it. Thank you very much.